Oh, yes.
So I came in when you guys were already speaking.
Hello. Hello.
How are you?
Welcome.
So how you doing? So my name is Siobhan. I'm the founder and executive director of Heart Health Initiative. So thank you to Kamora for inviting me to listen in on the conversation. I think where I am, with food, as you guys are talking about, as far as being self-sufficient with growing our own food, I think, it's very important. Also really important, I think, is to take what we know and what we understand and have it be easy applicable to people in our community, which would probably make it the easiest way to pick it up and do it on their own. So I think all this information is really helpful. Because one of our things is really to increase access to as much healthy food as possible. And so growing your own food is, one of the ways to do it. It's just to now transfer what we know, what we can do, what can be done to, the environments that, a lot of our communities are in to make it, conducive for them. So I'm here for the conversation.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. That was another key point you mentioned, it making it accessible. That's another big goal of Mud Gardens Initiative, because, every hood is a food desert. When crises like this happen, all the farms are way out in Avon and such, get bought up by all the white folk, and shows us again, well, they don't really care about black folk like that. What are our options with our resources? So we're making this specifically geared toward inner city folk and people who don't have access, to great amounts of land. Like, this is something that we all can just do. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You got a living room, you got a kitchen, you got some pots. What's good? You know what I'm saying? How can we make this happen?
Yeah.
Got it.
And then,
it's definitely. Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I remember him. You performed because I did the voter registration table at Barber Street Library. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah.
I remember you from that.
Nice.
Yeah, I love that part. So before we started, I had Dead Prez on Be Healthy, that song.
Yes.
Exactly, right? Because that's always one of those when they talk about trying to bring healthy food to the hood. It's like, well, we've been eating healthy and we've been wanting healthy. We've been striving for, we know what healthy is. We love healthy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think black rice and alkaline water, there's some specific special black folks who I associate both of those things with. But there's this idea that we just want, Kool-Aid and, Kool-Aid and pork knuckles, right? The special pork shortage that's on its way.
Yeah.
Beef by KRS-One, Boogie Down Productions.
Yeah.
Another good one.
Yeah, I don't know if anyone else has noticed, there's all these, there's a bunch of food distribution sites, and those have all their everything going along with them, good, bad. But KFC has a $20 family meal that you can get. There are all of those places that right now no one needs to be putting that stuff in their bodies.
Yeah.
Sure. Amazing. We will feed your family for the next 4 days for $30, and we'll bring it to your house. Yeah. Which is why, Stephanie, when you said you wanted to do good food, it was just
is that situation that's happening right now with fast food is what inspired me, because my family is also one of the families where my brother is sending me pictures of his takeout every single day, and he's so happy that he's getting delivery in under 15 minutes. I'm like, but bro, there's a reason why you're getting delivery in under 15 minutes. And there's a reason why you're able to get Taco Bell for the price that you're getting it. This is also wrecking your system.
Yes.
Also at the same time, doing what you can with the resources you have, and also recognizing the spiritual component that is food, and how for some people this is their only comfort, because what he has said to me for the past week is, this is my only comfort. I wake up and now all I'm thinking about is all right, well, what am I going to order today? Because it's the one comfort of the day.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so let's go and have some of those comfort foods then. It had me thinking about what are some easy and inexpensive and accessible foods that we can share and redistribute. So I have 25 pounds of rice in my pantry and like 10 pounds of beans. And so if we want to cook them, we can cook them. I have the containers if we did want to give them as cooked foods, depending on what people want and what their needs are, because we can also figure out a way to have them in smaller jars and just say, here are some directions, throw everything in a pot, soak it overnight, turn it on in the morning, bam, hey, you've got a meal that will last. If you want to add your meats, add your meats. If you want to toss sausage, add whatever you want. But you are starting at the baseline with a vegan meal that is easy to cook, that we can transport and deliver easily.
Nice.
Just not sure about the logistics and how to actually make that happen, which is why we're here.
Yeah, that part, that's the hard part, the easy part. That's the hardest part. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what makes it fun, though.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's how we get to have lovely conversations.
Yes.
Yeah, one of the things I love about that though is like the idea of teaching, like not teaching folks how to cook, but definitely teaching people how to cook, teaching people how to use real beans, because that's, again, that's the scary stuff, like looking how to figure out how to grow ginger. You can tell me it's easy for days, but it looks scary and hard.
Yeah.
Yes. And beans, like, you know, of course you soak your beans. Well, at least, you know, at least for New Year's Eve, you soak your beans, but you know how to soak your beans. You're not scared of it. You don't think something horrible is going to happen. But
Right.
it's important if you've never seen anyone do it before. So if you didn't grow up with beans on the back of the stove. So,
And also, don't be afraid of sprouting. Sprouting's not a bad thing. It's okay.
okay.
Yeah. And get a pressure cooker. Oh
Pressure
my
cooker.
gosh.
Yes.
I never cooked dry beans until I got a pressure cooker. Once I got a pressure cooker, I never cooked canned beans. I mean, it was like, wow. It's a
Good to
pretty
know.
cool thing.
It takes an hours long process until like what, 10 minutes, literally.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah. You can do black eyed peas quick as heck.
Yep.
Hey, Kamani.
Oh, hey, Kamani.
Peace, Kamani. Peace, Ellen.
There we go.
Peace, everybody's watching.
Oh, is there
Facebook,
more?
etc.
Oh, I see.
Cool people. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of folks on
Okay.
Facebook as well.
Oh, nice.
So we are talking about food in all of its fun ways. We've got Sarah and Blessings here talking about their what is it, the Smod Garden Initiative and all the great stuff happening there. We've got Stephanie talking about creating vegan meals to give and share with folks. At some point, we'll talk about my eating issues during this virus, where I can go. You all read on Facebook because a ridiculous amount of people liked it, but I ate an entire half a cake in one day. But what I didn't add to that was the next day I ate the other half of the cake. So,
Mora, my God.
hey, yeah, it's quarantine time.
Yeah, yeah.
I do a great job of not having snacks in the house ever, but there is a cake in the house and it was chocolate.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
also, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, let's also be honest in that this is a stressful time. Food absolutely has an impact, whether you are binging, restricting, or also just snacking in general. Your habits are shifted because your bodily movements have shifted. So your appetite has shifted. Your mental health plays a direct part in that. And so it's like, yo, you know what? I'm grateful you had that whole cake. I am so grateful. I hope it was delicious and I hope it was nourishing to the soul. And then later on, if you feel like having a conversation about like, do you feel like what you want to do with that? If you want to have a cake in your house every other week or what have you, but like not restricting yourself and not feeling guilty about that because it was nourishing. It's part of what you needed. And then also everyone needs snacks in some way, shape, or form. Everyone needs some type of pleasure that is nourishing in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, it was pure comfort food. That's all it was. I wasn't hungry ever.
And that's really interesting point. A lot of people don't eat because they're hungry. They eat because they're bored.
No.
And that was it. Bored and stressed. That's it.
Yeah.
Yes.
The unholy combination that turned us all on to soul food
Yep.
after, chattel slavery ended.
Yeah, that is, there's a workshop that I do that's there's a part of it called fried chicken is health food, and
Mm,
about the Great Migration. And
mm,
like when you think about like trying to stay alive and what that looks like, if you're driving in your car from Connecticut back to Alabama and then from Alabama back, if you stop to get food, they will lynch you and kill you. So eating fried chicken, forget what it does to your arteries and everything like that. Your mother, your grandmother, your great grandmother was making fried chicken and giving it to people as health food because that gave them a longer life.
mm. Wow. Yeah.
Food is food.
Yeah.
I came up with that years ago, and I had cute little white interns in my classroom trying to school us. First off, I was working in a primarily Puerto Rican classroom, and they were telling us about all the fun fruits that we could have. Like, it's not just apples and oranges. You can have mangoes and papayas. Like, oh, that's some exotic shit. Do you see who you're talking to?
Yeah.
They tried to tell us that all the foods that we really like are just so horrible and bad for us. It was just, I Comoridon and did that shit.
Right.
But yeah, there's a lot of comfort eating right now, a whole lot of trying to heal my body through food right now.
Yeah. Yeah. There's one herb I wanted to highlight that's been shown to have like really deep level immune benefits to help like prevent illness. That's astragalus root. I've been drinking that for a long time for my Lyme disease, and it's really been helping. So like on the level of like deep serious illness, it also helps prevent the cold and the flu and stuff like that.
If I had to pick a food to suggest right now, it would definitely be navy beans. All this concern over 5G and radiation. Well, navy beans seriously cut down on radiation poisoning. 1, 2, they restore hormonal levels in the body to where they're supposed to be naturally, which isn't something a lot of foods really do. And that's a big concern right now because, just look at what they do. They put estrogen inside of tap water. You know what I'm saying? They put all these crazy chemicals inside all these easy to access foods. It's like your hormones are constantly under attack. You're constantly under biochemical warfare, So just having something like that helps build your immune system, helps restore your hormonal levels, and helps cut down radiation poison. Just that alone are 3 major benefits that we really need right now as a people, especially hood conditions. We're kind of trapped in this.
Yeah.
You don't have to be, but.
And that's the other thing that like it took me an embarrassingly long amount of time to realize that like to make the connection of like if I have a bean in my hand, I have a seed in my hand. Yeah. I can literally plant this bean in the ground and it'll grow up and like produce beans. So like if I get organic beans from the store, I can choose the biggest ones and literally plant them and like have beans and like have a staple food. So that's a connection that took me like way longer to make, but that's a cool thing.
Beans are extremely versatile. You can literally make anything from beans. Half of y'all familiar with bean pies? I turn a lot of people on bean pie. Listen, y'all know what the deal is.
Yes.
People here know they've asked me for them. You know what I mean? You can make ice cream out of it. You can make Alfredo, barbecue. Don't matter. We have to renegotiate our contract with our imagination.
And actually, if there's a plant that's really easy to grow for just beginning growers that want something like just kind of simple, beans are really easy to grow. Yeah. Just if they're pole beans, they're the kind of beans that grow up, on a support. Then you want to plant them near a fence or a trellis. But the bush beans will just stay right close to the ground. Just kind of put them in the ground and yeah, and weed. And yeah.
Nice.
On its basic level, it's really that simple.
Got some snap peas started that hopefully will go in a window box on the fence and just come down. But
nice.
Those, yeah.
When everything first started outside, I wasn't sure when was the next time we'd be able to like seed or plant or garden and all that jazz. Something that I found that was really, really easy. I just got some organic scallions from the grocery store. It was 1 bunch for 99 cents and I stuck it in some water and I've had fresh scallions for a month and a half now. And so they are super duper easy. And then you just trim them when they get too long If you're not ready to use them, you can just freeze them, add them to a stock, add them to whatever in the future. But then also for all of your meals, you've got a fresh grain.
Nice.
So you just planted the scallions you got from the store directly in the ground?
I didn't even
No.
plant. Nope. I stuck that baby in a glass jar of water.
Oh.
And it is still in a glass jar of water by my windowsill. It's not outside. It's not even on my porch. It is on the windowsill in a glass jar.
And just
Nice.
growing and replenishing itself over.
Correct. It's now on a month and a half. Super easy.
That's
Wait,
awesome.
you just cut it down and it grows up to the center?
Yep. So I knew that I wanted to use it to use it sustainably. So when I cut it to the main stalk. So there was still like a solid 4 or 5 inches above from the roots.
Okay.
And that's it.
Wow.
Yeah. And then the scallions will let you know which ones are ready to be cut. Like they'll grow straight up and then they'll start flopping because they're getting too long. And so just snip it off and then snip it above where the base is. And that's it.
Amazing.
So there's a bunch of folks watching over on Facebook. And if you want to, just come sign in, join us on Zoom. You can be here, part of the conversation. You can lurk like Key and Siobhan, who don't want us to see them, or you can jump up and be here. However it is that works.
Come on, you funny.
You know, lurk, show your face, whatever, be a part. You know, the steps to joining the KCC, there's the green, and that's like stepping in. You don't do anything, you're just kind of stepping in. Then you get purple. Like, we're all being purple right now. And then orange is going out and like just taking it and whatever it is that you do out in the world with it. So, hello, purple people. Which is kind of fun. Yeah, you see I've got my Prince background going. I'm wearing a
T-shirt.
shirt.
Yeah.
This is Prince week. This is that week.
Oh, happy Earth Day, by the way, everyone. It's Earth Day.
Happy Earth Day.
Earth Day.
Did anyone do anything special for Earth Day? Did anyone Earth Day? What'd you
Yeah, we just got back from the garden. I still have dirt under my nails.
Nice.
Yeah.
What'd you do in the garden?
Just weeding now. We just got a plot, so we're weeding everything and then laid down some leaves for mulch.
Nice.
Preparing the bed. Yeah.
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 I love that it is Earth Day. There's a Taurus new moon, and Taurus is an earth sign. And I just feel like that's a very lovely combination right now.
Yeah. Nice synchronicity coming in. What was it today? Did anyone watch Parable of the Sower at noon today?
No.
No.
So it was wonderful. So afterwards, there's this major talk back. If anyone was going to come to a KCC talk back, we did a watch party, and then we just stayed in the talk back that they had because they had a talk back going with Toshi Reagan, and that was just phenomenal. But what was it? The NYU, New York University Arts Center, based in Dubai, showed a performance of Parable of the Sower from 2015 today, and it was like 8 o'clock their time. So I thought we were going to watch. I thought like the original plan was we were going to talk about it now, and then afterwards at 8 o'clock when it came on, watch it together and then talk about it afterwards. But it was 8 p.m. their time, so it was noon our time. But about, a few thousand people today around the world watched Parable of the Sower together. And then afterwards got to listen to Toshi Reagan and some other folks talk about it.
Wow.
Which was, yeah, some real powerful music. Once they got to the Earthseed song, all that you touch, you change, all that you change, changes you. That was powerful. Okay, yeah, that is all that you change, changes you. All that you touch, you change.
Yeah.
Let's see who's watching. So Rosa, hello Rosa. Rosa's watching. David's watching. Joanna's watching. Rosa, Thank you. Thank you for calling me Professional Kimura. Do I look like Professional Kimura right now? As in, which is different than sitting on my couch. Kimura. Let's see, Jodine. Jodine is coming in and joining us here right now. Hello, Jodine.
So has anyone else on the call, like, have you guys started your garden, Key and Siobhan, or anything growing herbs or anything?
So
Or any, yeah.
the garden at my house, I am the supplier. I am not the gardener.
Yeah, okay.
And so my husband does the garden. He started, I actually turned the soil last week.
Nice.
And so now it's the supplier's turn to figure out what's the supply. And so there's a place that I usually go to on Berlin Turnpike. I think it's called like Bob's Farm something.
Mm-hmm.
But that's where I usually go and get pretty much all of our vegetables and stuff. And we usually we plant an array of stuff. Like we've had kale since last year. Apparently the kale's still growing. So we've had kale for the last year.
Nice.
And so pretty much everything that we've grown last year, we kept in the freezer for this year. So it actually lasted pretty much a whole season. So now it's pretty much just replenishing what we had. So we're in the midst. It's in our mind to start as long as the supplier gets a supply.
Yeah. Yeah. Around this time of year, I always kind of get stressed of like, oh, I'm not seeding enough, or I haven't, gotten a head start. I don't have anything planted in the ground yet. But then, I was working up in Granby today, and there was the snow flurry again. Yep. And it's like, no, you know what, just flow with it. It will happen at the right time, as long as you're focused on getting something in the ground, it'll come together. And especially because like, right, it's late April, if you have something in the ground, that's great. If not, it's definitely not too late to start. You could seed something a few weeks from now, or even a month from now, and then just as it's getting really warm, everything will kind of come to life and just start growing together. And so so it's good stuff.
That's my husband. That's my.
And last week, my hostas, not food, but just, hostas. So where there was just plain barren ground with absolutely nothing, then all of a sudden I just noticed they're about 4 inches tall today. They're big, and they just like every year they disappear. I don't know where they go. They just go away to nothing. And then the spring they come back, and like in 2 days, you've got these big, huge hostas where there was just nothing ground. I love those.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, we ordered some cherry blossom trees.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, those spring flowers are just awesome. Those lilacs it's spring, it's
hyacinth.
Yeah, we've been on the list for Knox for like 2 years.
Oh.
So we've been waiting for our cherry blossoms, so they haven't come. So this year we bought some.
Nice.
Let's see. Kathleen's uncle planted tulips. Was that this year or whenever? At some point, he planted tulips. Nice.
Yeah, the tulips came up really nice. I have a neighbor next door. So she has yellow tulips, and they're like bright. And they've been bright for at least over a month now.
Nice. Yeah. No, I've got a few. Yeah, I've got some purple ones on the side of the house. Hello, Jennifer, and how are you on this lovely evening?
I am alive, which is like the most you can ask for during a pandemic, so I'll take it.
That's a good way to be. Yes.
How are you?
Oh, we're doing good. We're talking about, people are talking about what they're growing, what they might be growing, what that's looking like, all the good stuff.
Ooh, that sounds like all good stuff.
Yes. So do you know everyone up in here? There's a decent group of amazing human beings up in here right now.
I do not know everyone, no.
Okay, well, let's see. So Stephanie, I don't know, are we all the same? Like right now I see a Brady Bunch grid, and Jennifer's in the center. Is that what everyone else sees?
Yes.
Okay, perfect, cool. So Upper left is Stephanie. Stephanie is preparing or considering getting ready to prepare vegan meals to give to beautiful people because she do. Next to her is Paisley Park from Prince, Around the World in a Day. Next to me, that way, is Sarah and Blessings, who have now, they've got the Samad Gardens Initiative. At some point, I'll stop having to read that. Yeah, so under them is Kamani Key Bookstore. Under there is Joanna, who will be telling us hopefully at some point about whatever it is that she cooked today and whatever she's making, because she's always cooking something interesting. And right underneath you is Jodine, who we can't see at the moment. But did you see the photos? Did anyone see the photos that she posted of herself today? From Jodine, when was that photo shoot that they did of you? Because you were ridiculously gorgeous. It was amazing. Yeah, see, there she was for a second. And then next to you is Ellen, and Ellen was out playing in the dirt and having a great time in the world today because the sun was fine. And oh wait, and Siobhan is underneath you now because that just changed in some kind of way. But Siobhan's probably going to talk to us about voter rights in some wonderful way shortly.
Great.
Or the need to vote.
So my name's Jennifer, as you can probably read. I am one of the folks in Mutual Aid Hartford, so that's what I'm currently doing right now.
And you are getting food and diapers and everything to the people.
We're getting all sorts of, we are trying our best to like meet whatever it is that folks who join into our network like are seeking, right? And so we've been really focused on food because that's, I mean, you've seen the lines at Food Share, like that goes without saying, that's a priority. We've also been able to, in some ways, like support like either other projects or other things that folks wanted to do, like a diaper share or a diaper fund, which has been another big need, right? We're supplying mamas with formulas. So we're doing a little bit of a lot of different things. And there's a couple more things that we're trying to really get into our radar, focusing on more specific groups that have, you know, like monetary needs and in the ways that we can keep that actually going. Food is an easier thing to do right now. But I think in long term, we're thinking of ways that we can really support people in a couple of different ways. Because the more we talk to people, the more like obvious it becomes how varied the needs are, right? And then also like at the end of the day, it's just everybody at this point is really struggling. So
yeah, and in a bunch of different ways like that. And that's one of the things like, so when I talked about eating that chocolate cake, it was flippant and ridiculous, but I kind of threw it out there like that because right now there's so many people, as you know, that there are people who can't get their basic food needs met. Like we know, we all know what that's looking like. There's a bunch of folks who are blessed and a bunch of people who are privileged and a bunch of us who have stuff who still have extra needs outside of that.
And I mean, we've been working really, we've been trying our best to make sure that like whatever food we get into people's hands is like food that they actually want to eat too. Like I'm one of those kids who grew up like eating out of the high caffeine, eating from food pantries and you know, like needing a lot of things in community support. And so for where I sit, right, and other folks may feel differently, right? We're not all like the same person, right? From where I sit, it's like super important that like I really ask people what it is that they actually like want. Like I'd be like, what grain of rice do you eat? Because I know I'd be mad picky. And an effort to like make all of this a little less like, you know, difficult. Like you shouldn't have to figure out how to cook a new food during this time if you don't want to.
Yeah, that's like I think about and wonder, like I remember government cheese because my grandmother got government cheese and I like government cheese and I like the community that goes with government cheese. And luckily I was young enough that I didn't have the stigma of, ooh, bad government cheese, right? It was this thing. And then there's also that one degree of separation because it didn't come into my house, it went to my grandmother's house. And then a special gift because you go to her house, she'd cut the block in half and you take half home. But there's a part of me that like feels the love of that commonality of that struggle food. Like back when food stamps were a thing and you saw other people with food stamps, there's that commonality thing.
Right.
And that part that, you know, you can say builds character, but then there's the ability to, no, I want fucking ice cream. and I'm gonna spend this little bit of money I've got, or these food stamps I've got on ice cream. And yes, you're mutual aid, and you're coming to me and saying, we know you don't have anything. What do you need? And yes, I need kale and sweet potatoes and lentils because that's gonna keep me alive. But I really want a pint of ice cream. I really want a pint of ice cream.
And actually, it's been so interesting as we speak with people. You know, people have different needs, and like I spoke to someone where like ice cream was one of the only foods they can actually process, right? And so like, what does it look like for someone who just needs ice cream, right, to process? And those are the things that we call luxury foods, and so we don't typically think of like, let's give these out. So it's been really interesting, you know, like I'm on my struggle foods wave right now. It's my comfort. It's what happens anytime that I feel like I have to go into survival mode. And so I'm grateful for that in that sense. And also, if there's any way that I could not have to put somebody else through that, like that's what I prefer.
Well, yeah, like I said, the kale, sweet potatoes, and lentils, those are my struggle foods. Whenever I feel backed in the corner, whenever I feel lacking, that I know is going to keep me alive no matter what. It's going to keep me alive and thriving. And that's, yeah.
Yeah, for me, is any kind of bean. I mean, we actually bought kidney beans, and I hated kidney beans growing up. But like kidney beans, because they're good for you, and rice. Like rice and beans. We're like, meat, you don't need meat anymore. It's okay. Let's just move to the beans.
Yeah. Before you got on, we were talking about meat shortages coming up, and, you know, sick pork and chicken plants that are shut down and all of that, where it's just going to be impossible to get any meat. Forget if you want to be a vegetarian or not, you're not going to have much of a choice.
I mean, to be honest, from where we sit, so we've been running groceries now probably since the beginning of, like, around March, I want to say. And for about 2 to 3 weeks, we had to tell anybody who requested meat that it was a 99% chance that we weren't going to find it. And so we talk about like food scarcity and food shortages happening in the near future, but in some ways, like if you can't access it easily, like I don't care what the farmers are doing with it. If I can't access it, in some ways we're already there, right? And so for us, it's been a couple of weeks of us having to tell people, I hear you, I need eggs too, and like we probably can't find eggs, or I hear you, we need meat, and also like we can't find meat. And so whether it actually exists is different than I can access it, right? And so if we're going by food shortages of it existing, then no, of course, like we don't have any food shortages. But if we're talking about the accessibility piece of us being able to actually like go grab a meat, right? Like in some ways, like a lot of us have been there for about a couple weeks.
Has anyone done any of the food share lines? Gone to Rensselaer Field or anything?
I haven't done the Rensselaer Field thing, but you know, I've always been going to pantries and food share and everything.
Yeah. And tell us what the difference is.
Well, the food share truck is all year round, and it's someplace every day, usually 3 or 4 different places in like a whole bunch of different towns. Hartford, there's usually one. Every Monday there's one, every other Wednesday, every Thursday, every Friday, but it just rotates between different places. The food share truck, when I first started using it a couple of years ago, it very rarely had meat. It was almost always vegetables. Now, for the past couple of years, there's been meat almost every time they have the food share truck, except since this whole coronavirus thing started. And the past 2 weeks, they've started having meat again. So I take it and I give it away to other people, or I give it to my neighbors because I'm not eating meat right now. And I know a lot of people don't want to go to the food share truck or can't go to the food share truck. So I'm always going almost every day. And then I bring things back to my neighbors. I leave them outside my neighbors' doors. My friends come over, I give it to them. And then I also, when the Y was open, I used to bring it over there and give it to people over there. So I've been doing food share thing for years. And it's interesting that you were talking about ice cream, because one of the things that over the summers, food share constantly has ice cream. The truck constantly has ice cream, and everybody gets all excited because the food share truck has ice cream. And I never end up taking the ice cream. I just give it away to people who are there because I'm not sitting there trying to bring it on the bus in the middle of summer to get it back home. But that's one of the things that Food Share usually does pretty well with, that they have ice cream all summer long.
Joanna, it's actually really good to know that you are like, you're playing that role in your community, because sometimes folks like offer us like bulk donations of like food, right? And so it's just always good to be able to identify other people who we could just text and be like, yo, do you think like the folks that you deliver this to would like, you know, a bunch of produce or whatever. So like if you find yourself being one of those people who either goes to Food Share or like goes to the grocery store for like people in your community, you just dropping off things, like please do connect to us, because sometimes there are ways, and I can't make no promises, right? But sometimes there are ways that we could just actually like also drop off a bunch of food that somebody donated, and maybe you could do something with it.
Okay. Yeah, see, my thing is I never know what I'm going to have from day to day, because I go to the Food Share, I take whatever they have, and what I'm going to use, I keep, and then I give whatever I know I'm not going to use or that I have too much of, I give it to different people in the community. So that's just, I've been doing that for years though. That has nothing to do with this specific time and what's going on now. That's just what I've been doing for years. Because I can't imagine, you know, I'm going to the Food Share truck because I need the food. I can't imagine people who don't want to go or can't go not being able to access it. So whatever I'm not going to use, I just pass it on to someone else. Because I'd rather me take it and pass it on than have it just go bad, because a lot of times the stuff on the trucks is stuff that the supermarkets have already discarded. So it's not the freshest stuff. So it's going to end up being thrown away if the truck does not distribute it.
Absolutely. And I think what's important to learn to know about mutual aid stuff, like this is not a new concept. Like we are literally just like, I think, you know, a lot of folks, academics in general, like to label words to things that have already been happening for forever. So like literally like this is just kind of like it's just in some ways formalizing, in other ways not really called formalizing because I hate those words, but things that have already existed for forever. None of this is new, right? Like we didn't wake up to this yesterday. Like we've probably been doing this for like ever in some ways. So I think it's worth mentioning that, because sometimes we get stuck in the like rah for something. And the reality is that there's no rah behind this. We've been doing this. This is how all of us have survived in some ways for forever.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't realize, like my friend Evelyn, before she passed away, she and I used to go, and that was what we did. It was never, oh, well, you know, let's go solicit donations and this and that, but whatever we had that was extra, we would share with our neighbors. It was never like some formal thing like, oh, well, you know, sign this paperwork so you can get this amount of food and this and that. It was this, we went there, we had it, we gave it to people who didn't have it. If other people had it and didn't, then they shared with us. And it was just a informal network like that through Food Share. And a lot of people who go to Food Share do that. It's an informal thing where they bring it back to their neighbors, they bring it back to their patients, their friends, their coworkers.
Yeah. Yesterday and today were real missing Evelyn days. Knowing we're going to talk about this and wondering who should be a part of the conversation, is, you know, we're talking about food in the community and growing food and gardens and what mutual aid really looks like, and how, you know, it's not something out of the academy, because that's some BS. It's something that we do. What was it? I think I was talking to someone yesterday and they're talking about some group that people had been giving their money to was now explaining to people like, well, you gave us that money, but we can't just turn around and give it because it's got to go through dot to dot to dot, and just all of that nonsense where, yeah. And Jennifer, can you please put all of the mutual aid contact info into the chat so that folks can get there and give you money and give you food and sign up and do diaper runs? Because I know that like the shopping runs and diaper runs, you need human beings to do that. What are some of the?
We do. And we always prefer to go through people in like our community who we know, right, through our networks, because like for a lot of reasons, like there's a whole lot of trust that goes into this. Like you're giving somebody your address, your phone number, like you probably, like most of the folks that are in our like food list are folks who, like Joanna said, like they can't go, right? During this time, it's particularly like overwhelming the amount of folks like who can't go. Like I'll be perfectly honest and like self-identify myself as somebody who has a lot of immune issues. my partner has asthma. And so when you talk about living in apartment buildings, what does it look like for you to go out and do your essentials? It becomes almost impossible during this time, right? So really we prefer folks who are in our community. That way we can at least tell people, hey, this is somebody who we've touched base with, who knows to stay away from you 6 feet or 8 feet, and will make you feel safe in the process. So we're really looking for grocery runners, folks to run diaper deliveries, those kinds of things. A grocery runner would be somebody who actually would go to the grocery store, make a compra, a grocery run for somebody, and then drop it off. Sorry, sometimes I switch back between Spanish and English, especially during these days. And then for as far as the diapers go, like we're really looking for folks. They have a stash of diapers, right? Some of the folks who decided to take that on have a stash of diapers, and you would just literally go pick up the stash of diapers and drop them off to other people. And the other piece of that is that like if you wanted to start like something in your own neighborhood, right? Like if you wanted to get extra support in whatever you're already doing, like we're always looking for folks to connect to us who are wanting to drive their own initiatives, right? And in the ways that we can use the folks in our networks and the money they may or may not have to like help kind of motivate and push those smaller projects that are happening. Like the diaper run, that didn't come from the core group of people. That was another group of people who were like, hey, we think this might be an actual need. And we were like, yeah, absolutely. Actually, all the phone calls that we've been making, people need diapers. I can't believe we didn't even think about this. So like the other thing that we're also looking for is like all hands on deck when it comes to like, creating other smaller circles of mutual aid and other kinds of projects. So diaper delivery people, food delivery people, which is like super important. That's the one that we're really seeing a big need. A lot of folks are still waiting for the unemployment to kick in, right? So like, how do you feed a family with no unemployment? How do you feed a family if you were already having a hard time before? How do you feed a family if you're a single mom and you have to drag your kids to the grocery store? It's already annoying, and now you put on top of that you can get sick. Or if you are somebody who has one of the things that makes you most vulnerable to complications from this thing, it's scarier to maneuver those everyday circumstances. So you could really make, and then and it's a network, right? So like, it's not like you're helping somebody, like you're joining this in an effort to also like gain something from it. If you should ever need, right, that the network would be there for you. This is not like, we're not giving aid to nobody. Like you're just literally a part of a community who like does things for each other, because that's what you do, right? So the other thing is, if you're coming into this space thinking I'm gonna go help and save a bunch of people, like that's not what we're looking to do. We're looking for all of us to have all hands in the pot at the same time in every way. And I'll put that in the chat when I figure out how to do it. Oh, here it goes.
Jennifer, I have a question for you. So would you prefer we can have this conversation now or we can have it offline, but I have food that I want to donate and am not sure how to go about it, how to deliver it and get it to the people who actually need it. And then also the means of which to do it, like if it should be cooked or if we should keep it uncooked, large batches versus individual meals to make it go the most efficiently or towards the people who actually need, since you are hearing directly from people.
So that's a really good question, and this network of folks is always evolving. We've been talking a lot or thinking through, and we can always use more, right? More ideas as to how to do this work, of ways that we can actually incorporate cooked meals, right? Because like cooking is a whole job, right? And in the ways that could be really helpful for like a lot of folks, right? I mean, we're also like, I never like to, I think we tend to forget this piece, right? It's like in the back, but we don't talk about it actively enough. It's a pandemic, right? So people are gonna get sick, and you don't want to cook for your family when you're sick because you're sick, right? So like cooked meals are so essential to this piece, and figuring that piece out is, I think, where we're moving towards too. Is like, how do we do this? So like, it really depends on your comfort level, right? Like, what is it that you want to do with that food? Do you want to cook with it? Do you want to?
I'll cook it. I can cook it. I have the containers to transport it. So like, it is not, the issue is not cooking the food. The issue is not
Right.
the labor. The issue is not even delivering, because I don't even mind delivering in a very safe way.
Right.
I will cook it. I'm offering to cook it. People take the containers by all means.
Right.
How do I get it to the actual people who need it?
So, and that's, so from there, it would be so whichever way you're comfortable of doing, right, would be the first thing. And if cooking was a thing, or if you wanted to, I've had people who'd be like, can you identify a family for me to like give this food to? We've also done that. And so you have all these options, right? So in the meantime, while we figure out, and we do have a list of people who have identified themselves as people who would accept meals or who are looking for meals, right? It's just really about getting the volunteer base to be able to touch base with those people and be like, hey, I know we deliver groceries to you, but do you want cooked meals too? What days work for you? And then coordinating that way. Because like, we don't know personally everybody who ends up on this list, right? Like, and so I think that's the great thing and about it, because you end up being able to reach pockets of people who are not connected in their communities and for whatever reason, right? Or who have a great, beautiful network of people, but could really use the money that is coming from all these people who work at these nonprofits and who work at the city level and who work at the state level. That's a lot of money, right? That's kept out of communities all the time, right? And so they're just looking for an in. So yeah, so I think the other pieces, we are trying to figure out how to get that happening, because we don't know everybody. Most of the people that end up on the list, I think we've and I'm probably someone's probably gonna be like, John, you're really under doing the number. We're at about 300 people who we like have like just delivered food to, and so like I don't know that many people, right? And so I think the next step is that, right? Is really figuring out like, hey, you said you want meals. We found this lady who wants to give you, or this person who wants to give you meal, right? Like, could what days work for both of y'all? Right? And like, what kind of food are you even looking for? Like, you know, like, do you have food restrictions? You got food allergies that we got to know about. Like, so like, you start getting into the weeds of the thing. So yes, that's the next logical step for us, I think.
Is there...
Sorry for that long-windedness. Clearly, we've been thinking and talking about this like a lot.
That was fantastic. Thank you so much. And so is there a listserv to sign up for, or is it just email the contact information you're going to put in the chat?
So I'm happy you bring that up. So we do have an email. We're working on a phone number to figure out, because the other thing is like, none of us were technology gurus. Like, so we were like, how a phone number that they can call all of us at? How does that work? And so right now we have somebody who's actually really cleaning up for us, like what it looks like when people come in with their requests and with their gives. And we're in the process of building a new kind of like sheet that people could sign up for that's like way easier, that's way less cumbersome. And so that should be coming up in the next couple of weeks. And so right now we're playing catch up, but for things like this, for like giving meals, like this right here, what we're doing, that's all that needs to happen. And you can give me your contact information and then we'll go from there. Because like we're formal in some ways, right? Because we have to be, because now we don't know everybody, but in other ways, this is still very much working off of like, who do you know? Hi, my name is Jennifer. Can we be friends? Yes. So I'm gonna give you the email. I'm gonna put my like, y'all could always like Facebook message me, Facebook message any of the people on the list I'm about to give you. And then we are working on that like front facing form right now as we speak. And then catching up to like, we have about 50 families that we're currently catching up on, including like random requests. Like a sorority sister of mine specifically wanted to like give food to somebody in New Britain because she's from New Britain, right? And so we typically don't do New Britain, but because that was a special request who had come in and we had this information sitting on CT Core's list, we were able to make that happen. So I think in a couple of weeks, it'll be easier for people to sign themselves up again. But for now, this works.
Hey, Jennifer.
Yeah.
Jennifer, I have a question, or maybe even a suggestion. This is Siobhan. So just thinking about what you're speaking, what you're saying, would it be helpful for you guys, because even what Stephanie is asking, and it makes it, I think, more labor intensive for you, if you are to kind of like food share to assign days. So for example, you now have your listserv of people that you're serving and say on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we'll have cooked meals. So you email everyone or text everyone, however that looks. This is what we're doing. You sign up. So people are now signing up for slots on that day. So it kind of helps you guys out kind of with arranging individual schedules, with just having certain days where you know how many volunteers you need and how much stuff you need to get done. I don't know how helpful that will be, just kind of listening to your conversation. It might help out with just trying to maximize the amount of volunteers you have and the effectiveness of managing time.
Yeah, I think that's a really good suggestion. And I think we're working on it. We with the guy who's doing like the back end sheet. We've been really thinking through like how do we manage volunteers, and then how do we help other people manage volunteers? Because like I said, it's not all us, right? There are these like groups of people, and even when we think about like cooked and prepared foods, that might just be another whole thing that pops up in a similar way as a diaper did, as a diaper fund did, because it's so intricate, right? I mean, I have a lot of food allergies, and so I think about even just that piece alone of being able to work up against that. But I think it's really like a great suggestion and the natural next step, to be honest.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No problem.
It is definitely. Thank you. Thank you.
So I also just wanted to shout out a couple folks that are still growing at Knox, Manny Marte and Derek Bedward. So they're small Hartford growers for folks that are looking for produce that are local to Hartford. You can find Manny Marte at his company is called Micro to Life. And then Derek Bedward said he's best contacted by phone. So, and they have here, and what he said they have available now is like parsley, chives, mustard greens, rainbow chard, sage, oregano, spearmint, bok choy, and lettuce. So kind of greens and herbs. They've got that growing in Hartford right now. So I'm just going to throw out their information in there for folks who are looking for that. And it's cheap, like, $4 per bag of produce and like $2 per bunch of herbs, So it's, kind of inexpensive. So that's that.
Beautiful. Yeah, Derek's greens are amazing. His bok choy, all of his greens are so good.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm so behind the ball right now because my plan was to start a garden this summer. I was going to garden this spring and summer, and this kind of put a hold on everything. I don't even know if there's water in the garden that I was planning on gardening at. I haven't spoken to anyone over there.
Yeah. I know Terry was talking about community gardens. So what's going on with community gardens, Terry? Oh, wait, we can't hear you. You've got to unmute yourself. You're muted. You got to unmute yourself. I can't unmute him.
Oh, are you asking me?
Yes.
No, Terry right here in the middle. On the iPhone, the person says iPhone, but we can't hear you. You've got to unmute yourself. You've got to click something on your phone. Nope, where'd you go? Okay. Hello?
Yes, I'm here, I think.
Okay, great. Now I can hear you. Tell us about community garden.
I got to figure out how to mute this thing. Can you hear me now?
Can hear you perfectly.
Okay. Well, the space we have over 75 Sterling Street is an acre plus a lot. That is to be a nice lot for a garden. And at some point I wanted to turn it into a garden, but I just need some volunteers or some helpers. If someone wants some space for a garden, we have some space for it.
Nice. What are you doing with it right now? It's just sitting there?
It's sitting here. There was some talk, and the city's been talking back and forth, but they're dragging their feet. So I think by the time they make up their mind or something happens, we certainly could have a garden, and we could certainly start, a garden and part of it.
Yeah. Kathleen, that's over. Wait, where are you living right now? You're still over in that area, right? Near Sterling Street? Kathleen?
Oh, Sterling.
Nope.
I'm not sure.
Who's there?
Lost her. She'll come back. We lost her. She'll come back.
So if you wanted to do something like that, how would you go about doing that?
Well, I think you got to make contact with someone like Knox, the foundation, of some gardening people, and let them know that you're doing a garden and the reason why you're doing it. You could contact, there's people, even on city council. I know Chris Murphy's office, they do a lot with gardening nationally. So if you can get the support of the city and council people, and I know Senator Chris Murphy, especially someone like that, then you could, get all the plants and all the seeds you need to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Some help with water, whatever, fertilizer.
And doesn't Knox have to create a few more gardens this summer? Don't they have a grant that says they need to create more?
So probably right, and that's why you have to contact them and find out, do they have capacity and do they want to contact more? And they don't have anything in that area. I know they don't have anything in that area, so that's really a food desert there. So they may be very interested. I don't know where the grants are and where the politicians are. As I said, the city council people and especially state senator, the federal senator, U.S. senator, he's interested, and he have people that would be interested in working with that.
So my question is, and my name is Siobhan, by the way, Terry. I have an organization, the Heartfelt Initiative. So if we had our own funding and our own supplies, how would we go about using that land? That's my question.
Well, through Kamara, you can contact me, and I'll give you a space, and you can just get in and start working on it.
Nice.
Okay. All right. So
if you
we'll
have
have
access, you have your own seeds and your. Absolutely, we'll get it done.
Nice.
There we go. Yes.
Okay. Okay, that works. Thank you.
Okay. So Kamara, just keep me posted. Let me know what you want me to do.
Okay, well, I'm going to connect you and Siobhan through email in like regular grown-up people world after this.
Okay.
Yeah, so
That'll work.
Terry's a former chief of the fire department here in Hartford and a bunch of other good stuff. And is this a plot of land that's right next to where the old KCC was, next to the old Kabbalah house? This is that land, isn't
Yes.
it?
Yes, that's correct.
Yes, this is land that I want to farm anyway. So yeah, this is land that needs to have good stuff growing in it.
And we have a lot of extra seeds, and I'm working with Derek and Manny, in another farm in Berlin. We'd be happy to come and help plant the garden, even if for other people to take care of, or we could take care of it, or whatever's needed. We have some supplies. We have lots of navy beans, lots of herbs to seed. So that's we could be a resource for that.
I would love to. I would love to link up with you about that also, because I really have this vision of doing the Enfield Street Garden again, of course, in memory of Evelyn, because that was really her passion project. She started that garden along with Knox and a couple of other people, some kind of food justice thing and everything. So I really was like, oh, I'm going to go, garden on Enfield Street this summer. That was decided even before this. And then once she passed away, I said, I have to, because this is in her memory. I have no idea what to do. No idea whatsoever. None.
Yeah. We would love to schedule certain times that work for folks to have everyone go out, and we can show you how to plant. We can show you how to do different things, and you can have your own, sections of it. Or for folks who are interested in learning how to garden, we'd love to do that.
Yeah. Okay. So let me know when.
Yeah. This weekend, Thursday, or let's see, Saturday and Sunday, I'm free.
Well, actually, I just put together that I was going to send an email, but there's a chat right here. Put your email in there.
Yeah.
So Saturday at noon?
Saturday at noon sounds great to me. So here, I'm going to put my name is Sarah Rose. I'm going to put my my number right in the chat. So just send me a text.
So Saturday at noon, 75 Sterling Street.
75 Sterling Street. Okay. Let's see.
Right at Sterling near Auburn Avenue.
Okay. Yeah.
The big vacant lot. It's the only one there.
Begging for plants, begging
Perfect.
And
Good.
for herbs and plants.
Gonna be beans up in there, navy beans.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that'll be so good for the earth there right now too.
Yeah.
Navy beans will be great.
I'm going to
Yeah.
try to contact Knox and find out what the status on Enfield Street is, if they even have water there yet. They said mid-April. So I don't know if they've started the water there yet. I need to get in touch with the garden coordinator there. I know they have the raised beds and everything, but I don't know if they've had anything delivered as far as the materials that they need because of everything that's been going on. And nobody's been in touch with me from Knox for a couple of weeks now because I honestly don't even know if they're working right now at Knox.
Yeah, Knox is a little weird right now. So understandably so, but you know.
Yeah, it took them weeks to get back to us for plots. So, but they did eventually. So,
Well, not me, but
oh,
her.
yeah.
Lauren's still working there? Does she still work at Knox?
Who?
Lauren?
I think so. Yeah. Yeah. Lauren's still there. Lauren Little. Yeah.
So she can tell us what's going on.
Yeah.
so I have a question. And this is only because I heard this third party. I have no clue. And so maybe you guys can educate me in regards to that lot, Terry. There's
Yeah.
been conversation about, has the soil ever been tested in regards to, how good the soil is and how healthy the soil is?
Well, yeah, there's been a lot of things going on there, but you want to probably bring in some of your own dirt. This was a field test, and there were some issues there before, 25 years ago, and the site was cleaned up by DEEP. So, but right now the city, and they've given it a clean bill of health to use.
So Sarah is saying, yes, first lesson. We'll amend the soil and maybe plant something cold hardy. Beautiful.
Yeah. And if
Say that one
anyone's
more time?
planning on- I was gonna say, if anyone's planning on coming out, bring your seeds, and we can do a little seed swap.
The soil's a living
Okay.
thing, you know what I'm saying? We could help it become healthy. It's
Yeah.
not a big thing.
I would love to set something up also. Like I want to come and learn about planting there, but if we could
Yeah.
set something up also to, look at Enfield Street and over there and
Yeah, I'm down. I'm down to teach people what I know. So I've been working at Holcomb Farm for 3 years, an organic vegetable production farm. And Stephanie and Ellen and I all went through this program, the Institute of Sustainable Nutrition, which is like a really deep, science behind, amending the soil and getting the most out of the nutrition in your crops and stuff like that. And I've been like, ever since I started working on the farm, and ever since I went to this program, which is in like Lily White Granby, I've been like, how can I share this with the folks who need this, who need this knowledge, who don't garden just because it's a fun hobby, who like actually need to grow their own food to live. So I'm like, yeah, I'm ready to teach people. I'm ready to share what I know, share what yeah. And for those who weren't here earlier when I talked about our project, we have a project called SEMED Gardens Initiative that you can look up on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. So we're doing high quality videos on
And Patreon if they want to support you. Patreon if they want to support
Patreon,
you.
yeah,
Thank you.
Patreon if you want to
Videos.
support us.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yes.
So we're making these video resources for folks who don't have the money, but for folks who want to support us, you can join our Patreon. We're doing videos on how to grow your own food, whether you're in the city, wherever you are with whatever you have.
And the soil, starting seeds.
Yep. Yeah, we did like a 12-minute, really in-depth seed starting video, which is, just using what you have. We'll be talking about how to make your own organic garden amendments using what you have in the kitchen and what you can find in nature. So yeah, the idea is accessibility, affordability. Stephanie knows the thing and Ellen, because yeah, we learned a lot of this stuff at the Institute of Sustainable Nutrition, but we paid thousands of dollars to learn this stuff. And that's Yeah.
I'm still on
Now
that payment plan.
People need to know this.
Oh
yeah. What?
I said I'm still on that payment plan. It's on pause due to COVID. It's on a pandemic pause.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a real thing.
Amending soils, like, does that get rid of like harmful toxins like lead and all that stuff?
You can. So actually, like hemp, there's certain plants that you can plant that will kind of soak up all of the toxins, like hemp, for example. If you plant hemp in the soil, so it'll like detoxify your soil, but then you need to find somewhere to put that hemp where you're not like retoxifying somewhere else. So that's the issue. But yeah, there's a lot that you can do. You can totally detoxify soil. It's just a matter of knowing what to do and giving it time, which is so inspiring. You can turn like concrete jungles into gardens, you know, with time and knowing what you're doing.
I think that's really cool because we have so many like old abandoned factories, and we have a couple sites that are brown sites, I think it is. I forgot the actual name of it.
Brownfields.
Brownfields.
Thank you. So when I think about like starting gardens in Hartford, I'd be like, yeah, this is so cool. I'm not gonna eat that. So like, I'm really
There's always raised beds.
Yeah, that was a part of my question.
Raised beds. Yeah. And Charmaine Craig, she's got, I'm trying to remember what the name of it is. It's some kind of clover, but she's got something growing in the front of Kyan and Emily's house that is supposed to, in 3 years, turn the soil and make it beautiful and wonderful. Clover, I'm not sure exactly what it is, but it's supposed to do great stuff.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just gonna say one more thing, you know, for folks who don't even have land space, like you can do a lot growing in pots. Or like I got a grow light from Ocean State Job Lot and installed it. Actually, Ellen and her boyfriend Fernando installed the grow light in our apartment. And so we're like growing things in our apartment, you know, and growing things in pots, you know, by the window, like big pots. You can grow potatoes. I'm growing ginger. You know, there's all these things that you can do, without having any land. And
if you were starting from seeds, you don't need to get a mat. You don't need to get like special things necessarily. I took an egg carton, repurposed it, and added soil to it. And that's where the little seedlings are currently growing. Yeah. And then before that, I had, thank you. And then before that, I had looked up what are the herbs that I can just shove in water and grow, because I was nervous that I was going to accidentally kill it in soil. And so I was like, all right, what can I not kill? What can just last in soil? And so like chives and a lot of the herbs. Oh, thank you, honey. So like, see, you can repurpose it. And these are little garlic chives. Nice. So yeah, you can also just grow things, start it in water. And so like the scallions, you can do it in water. Leeks, you can do it in water. Some of the herbs, if you buy them fresh and they still have a little bit of the root, stick it in water. I tried it with cilantro, but I tried it a week after I put it in the fridge. It didn't work. Do it when you first get it from the grocery store.
Yeah. So if I plant my pesto, I'm not going to get pine nuts and basil. That's not just going to happen.
Dreams on dreams. You can try it, but it'll be a great story. Let us know how it goes.
Right? Yeah. Yeah. But how many seeds from foods, like, and how much does GMOs have to do with us not being able to collect seeds? So like, I'm thinking about strawberries and yeah, buying strawberries from a grocery store is pretty iffy anyway. But like watermelon, for whatever reason, doesn't have any seeds anymore. So I don't even know how to collect about watermelon. But GMO seeds, when I collect those from grocery store food, can I grow stuff or?
Yeah, that's a great question. So a lot of it has to do with the plant genetics as well. So genetically modified, there's some varieties that are either heirloom or open pollinated, which means they will, if you collect the seed and plant it, that will produce the same variety. But a lot of the stuff, especially that's on the market in grocery stores, depending on the type of vegetable or fruit, is genetically modified or hybridized for certain traits. And usually they're hybridized so that they're disease and pest resistant. So that works for the capitalists, but it doesn't work for trying to like reproduce stuff. So you want, and that goes for when you're looking for seeds, you want to try and find a variety that says open pollinated or heirloom. And you don't want something that says F1 hybrid, you know, so a lot of like, and again, it depends on the vegetable or fruit, but you want to stay away from the hybrids. You want to go open pollinated where you can.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I guess watermelons, I think will be very hard to find something in the grocery store that you can save the seed and plant it and produce a watermelon. So you want to go look at your farms. If you go to a local farm when they're in season, that you'll have a much better chance at, like, you can ask them, oh, is there any like heirloom open pollinated? And they might even, they will be more knowledgeable on that and able to give you that kind of stuff. So as far as saving seeds or trying your own seeds, go to the farms when you, when they open up, I guess.
We actually planted as an experiment at home honeydew, and like I don't know what it is about honeydew seeds, but like I'm terrible at like plants. All of them just like sprouted, all of them, and then we were like, what do we do with all this honeydew? Sprouting.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they will, if you plant them, they will continue to grow. And the thing is that's the bummer is you won't really know whether it's going to produce the honeydew that you want until like it comes to the fruiting time. And by then it's like you've put them in a lot of space, you know, plot of land and stuff. And so, I mean, so I would, if you're not sure, I would take a few of them. Just take a few of them and focus on planting a few of them and plant them like at least a foot apart.
So I was thinking of starting like in an egg carton or something on my back porch.
Yeah.
But the thing is that I've always, like in the past when I did buy seeds, I know they're not the best seeds, but I went to Dollar Tree so I could use my food stamps to buy seeds.
Yeah.
Or went to the grocery store so I could use my food stamps to buy seeds and seedlings and stuff. And I don't see any of that in this, like, I didn't see any seeds in Dollar Tree at all.
Really?
None.
Yeah. I've been seeing things like shutting down the seed portion of stores, saying they're not essential, and I'm like,
I read something about that today, that seedlings are not essential. So in Georgia, a bar is essential, a massage parlor is essential, your nail salon is essential. But the nursery that's selling the seedlings is not essential.
Yeah.
In class, we had actually talked about how some seeds that have never gone out of stock are currently going out of stock, and how some places and people are actually conserving and protecting seeds because they're not sure if some seeds that have always been around are not going to be around next year. And so also taking into consideration the fact that a lot of seeds do take years in order to come to seed. If something runs out this year or isn't planted properly this year or didn't properly go to seed this year due to the normal environmental circumstances, but also due to COVID and just like the ability and accessibility, it does mean next year's crops will look different because people are already talking about seeds right now in terms of scarcity, and not just because it's been closed down.
Right. So that's the other thing. If you are gardening, save a couple, let a couple plants go all the way to seed and save your own seed. And that's the thing, like once enough of us do that, we can swap with each other, you know what I mean? And we have the ownership of our seed and our food. And that's like really important.
So say that one more time, please.
So if you're gardening, let a couple, like at least 10 or 15% of what you're growing go all the way to seed. So you can Google, you know, depending on what you're growing, to see what that looks like for like fruiting vegetables, like cucumbers, tomatoes, anything that's like fruity and wet. You're going to actually want to let it kind of over ripen on the vine until it gets almost kind of rotten, and then you're going to take it out and strain the seeds out, and then you've got your good stuff. For like greens and dry things, they will usually put up a seed stalk and have dry seeds. And like we were saying earlier, Beans, for example, you just wait till the beans grow and mature, dry out, and when they're kind of all brown and you can kind of rattle the seeds in their pods. Those are your beans, and those are also your seeds. The same thing with peas. So it depends on the plant, but you're going to want to let a certain percentage of them go to seed, and you're going to want to try to save your seeds. And we're going to be talking about this on our project, the STEM Ed Gardens Initiative. So definitely follow us on Instagram and Facebook, YouTube, and we're going to be making videos on how to save different seeds, and because that's a really important aspect to the whole thing, the whole cycle.
Yeah.
Okay. And lastly, I have one other question.
Yeah.
And Kamora, I don't want to disappoint you, so I'm gonna put a plug in about voting too, but I'm not gonna say it yet.
You got to. You know, there's certain things people. If I show up podcast out at some point, I've got to say fuck that. Just has to happen. Voting has to be discussed. That's just what happens. Drew is over here. Drew, you're wearing a kilt, right? At some point, we're gonna see a kilt, right? Kilt. Stuff that just happens.
So Sarah, one quick question. Just understanding, I mean, your availability, would you be open to an opportunity to possibly to be a part of a grant with my organization?
Yeah, I'd be open to that. Yeah.
Okay, so I have your number. And I mean, we're in the development stage, but I've been thinking about, some sort of gardening. Again, I don't do very much. I told my husband, I said, you're gonna have to volunteer. I don't do any gardening whatsoever. Yeah. But it is, it is a good thing to do, a good thing to learn.
Yeah.
So we can have a conversation.
Yeah.
And I am going to have to go soon because I hear my kids in the background. But what I will say is, as Kamora said, one of the things that we are doing right now is civic engagement. So if you are not registered to vote, in which I think all of you lovely people are, because I've engaged with you in a few different circles, get registered. I challenge you to ask one of your friends that don't really believe in voting, don't believe in the process, to get them, involved as well. And what civic engagement is more than just voting. It's doing what mutual aid doing, it's volunteering. It's helping your community, cleaning your community, having a community garden. And so it means so much more just besides voting. And so that's my spiel right there. And I enjoy all of you guys.
We love you, beautiful woman.
Please.
Your husband, all right, Kamora. And your kids. Yeah.
We have a conversation tomorrow.
Oh, yes, we do it 1 or 1:30, something like that.
1:30, yep.
1:30, yep. I got you.
All right, so I'll speak to you soon. Bye, guys.
Okay, guys. See you guys Saturday at noontime.
Yeah.
Okay.
Woman.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Okay. Take care.
So I'm looking at who else is here. So Drew just got here, and Lucy's here, and Sarah's here. So when we invited Sarah, we talked about the Samad Gardens Initiative, which they're doing through Patreon. So we're supporting them through Patreon. The KCC supporting them through Patreon. We're also supporting Drew, who, okay, so he's family. So of course I'm gonna support his ass because that's important. But also his Patreon exists to smash white supremacy? What is it?
Yep, to challenge white supremacy, in particular in white communities.
That's my beautiful man. Yep. So the KCC is supporting him. Lucy is working with homeschooled children and their families, doing great stuff. So Lucy, you're off. We don't see you, but if you want to talk about anything that you're doing over there that needs to be funded and needs care of. What you doing, Lucy?
Yes, thank you so much. So right now what I'm doing is offering a series of what's logistically like a guided meditation, if you think about it. So it's a series of like pretending with your children for the purpose of de-stressing, learning about yourself, learning about your children, and for everybody to learn about each other and how they relate. So that's like the overall, like what's happening. And yeah, it's pretty much just for fun.
Good. Nice. Which is, I think right now, a whole bunch of folks are trying to focus just a little bit too much on what academics need to look like. And right now we're surviving, and our children are surviving. And like that whole be seen and not heard thing, we know damaged so many people. And like I think of like I talk about the Vietnam vets who I love a lot and how much I learned from those folks, you know, over the years, but how they just bottled and they went through like shit and they went through traumatic shit and learned not to talk about it. And that just affected people for generations. And right now I think that a lot of our kids need to just learn how to deal with humanity. Like that's way more important than calculus. Lucy, what did you do the other day? You sang Head, Shoulders, Knees, and Toes with some 4-year-olds online, or?
So yes, that happened this morning. And it was a trial run. So it's actually like a tutoring service. I'm hoping to like learn from that experience so that I can, you know, offer even better experiences for the people who are in my community directly. But yeah, we got to talk about like, what is a person? Who are the people in your family? And like, he didn't even know how to respond to that. And so like his sister joined and his mother joined. And it was just like, yeah, these are people and we come together and this is great. And we learn together. So that was, you know, all the things that try to make us human. You don't wait till you're an adult to learn about. You need to know as a child. So about getting families talking about those things, the simple things, you know, and getting them out into the garden also eventually. They don't know it.
Yes.
But one of my guided meditations will definitely be to pretend you are either a seed or the sun, or, you know, anything that you would find in a garden.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is definitely a growing time.
Yes, peace.
Yeah, and it's like, you know, I think pretty much everyone here already knows Olu lost his brother earlier this week, which is just horrible and tragic. And I know a lot of folks are losing people, scared of losing people, not being around for very, very, very significant life events. Drew, you had to come back from your birthday early, but
Yep.
yeah, trying to be in Scotland for your 40th birthday. Nice try.
I was very close. I was so close. Just a couple 100 miles away. I did get 4 days in Ireland though, so that wasn't bad.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. And the people were really nice. So
yeah. But we're falling into this whole new way of being where it's, you know, mutual aid is what it's about. Mutual aid is the only way we're getting through. And that, again, Jennifer, we've had this conversation how many times, like the idea of taking humanity and putting it into the university to turn it into something that you can learn about is bullshit.
Yes.
And human beings taking care of each other. So power jumped on, and that reminded me of people have been giving money to the KCC, and we've been giving that out to artists and creatives and all kinds of great folks. And one thing that happened this weekend is Power was doing his amazing food. So look, I've got your whole menu right here because I printed it off because it was important to have printed. But Power was creating meals for the community and figuring out how to get them out there. But like we're figuring out how to do this without them.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
I think that's one of the most like so again, trying not to talk about this time as this wonderful, great time, but this is that beautiful, amazing, great time of growth of chaos. That like, what is this? Like we're stepping into what a world without capitalism working the way that's been working can look like. We'll see how they grab it and pull it back in the next couple months, but the glimmer is there.
I have to say, I'm so glad to be part of this conversation because I finally, when I started going, you know, a couple of months ago to the different events and conversations, I was like, oh, I have some place I can actually be. And I feel so disconnected right now.
Yep.
I'm by myself. It's just me and my cats. You know, I'm sitting there trying to call Jamaica on a regular basis and things that are, you know, really, oh God, it's just so important right now to be having this conversation because I'm really starting to go like stir crazy and just the whole world just feels like a Twilight Zone episode right now.
If someone who feels like trying to work an old Jamaican man through how to make a Chromebook work, anyone who remembers Donald, if you've been to the KCC and you hang out at the KCC, Donald, the old man with the newspaper. Yeah, so Donald called today. We had a nice conversation, but you know, he's kind of realizing that we're not going to be reopening. So he's been coming over to 56 Arbor Street. We're closed. We're not open. And we for a while today. He's going to call back in a little bit. But if anyone wants to try to teach him how to use a Chromebook, I've got a Chromebook for him. Yeah, but Joanna, I feel you. I feel like right now there's, okay, the selfish part of me that I don't want to admit exists is happy that the KCC had to close in the way that it had to close when it had to close, because my fear of getting sick for myself, like I know me, if the KCC is still there on Albany Avenue right now, I would be putting myself in such harm's way because I would feel the need to do it. So selfish me, and this right now, admitting this here right now is so hard to do, but selfish me is happy that I'm not there. But that other part of me today, talking to Donald, I wish I was there. I wish that we could figure out how to, because that was why the KCC needed to be where it was, because there's a whole segment of our population that's not going to be touched by this. And we're all laughing because, again, like if you know Donald, that man reads his paper every day. He knows what's going on in the world. He's connected with the world, he cares about the world, and he can't be a part of this. And that, I miss him. I miss that man a lot.
I was reminded of some things today, and I'm basically an introvert. I'm the type of person who I'll be in a crowded room, but be sitting in the corner by myself, and people think I'm not enjoying myself or not participating, but I really am, because that's just my personality. So, I had my teletherapy appointment today, and I was like, oh, I don't like this whole teleconferencing thing and this and that. And I really wasn't going to come on to this, like, 'cause I hate being on video and being on video chat and this and that. But here I am, because you know what? To be totally honest, and I've shared this with a lot of people, the mental health issues, everybody, addresses the food issues, the money issues, this and that. The mental health issues and the isolation are just crazy. And
Yep.
Yes. Everyone here who feels like you're not worthy and you're wasting everyone's time, ditto, namaste, get over that shit. That's like, I think that's one of those things that we're all hitting.
I have a silver lining if it helps. Speaking of selfish, so before this whole COVID-19 thing popped off, I, like many people, was trapped, I would say, by the tyranny of pants. I wore pants every day, no matter what I did. It didn't matter if I was going to get the mail, pants. If I had to go to work, pants. It was just just a parade of pants all day, all night. I never questioned it one time. Easter, it wasn't like, what are you going to wear? It's what kind of pants are you going to wear? I was just stuck in pants. It was just a repetitive. Can you even imagine how many denim pants I've gone through? How many times I've gone to Old Navy and spent $9.99 on something that's going to last 3 months? It was terrible. And then I went to Ireland and I came back. And I decided, you know what? I'm going to buy a utility kilt. It's going to look crazy on me. I'm going to try it, and that's going to be it. It was $50. Y'all, I put the kilt on. It's been 32 days. It hasn't come off. When I say I have 4 more, when I say I bought 4 more, I am not. You know what? Let me reverse this camera right quick. Look at
This
this.
Negro doesn't wear pants anymore.
Pants are dead to me. I don't even understand why people even wear them anymore. I feel like this should be against the law. Hold on. There it is. Look at that. Kilted. Still kilted.
Oh, that is a new one.
And listen, right, exactly. That's a brand new one. There's another one over to my left. So I need to make it perfectly clear. This was not like a cultural decision. I found out recently I was like 11% Scottish. This is not why I'm doing that. I want to be really clear. Like initially, that was part of the reason, because I figured, like, how do I reconcile part of my whiteness? Because even just saying my whiteness feels weird, right? And then I did a whole bunch of stuff, like I've made a bunch of arguments on blood quantum, so it doesn't matter, and I was easily able to get over it. But I was still curious about a kilt, so I got one, and I have to recommend just any human being, if you've ever been walking around and like, this doesn't feel right, you're not alone, and you're correct. Like, pants are garbage. You should just take all of your pants and throw them in the garbage. Also, can I just real quick, like, connect with anybody who's ever worn a skirt real fast? Like, can I just have the audacity to do that? Why don't y'all have pockets? Why don't y'all have pockets? What's up with y'all lack of pockets? Listen,
Patriarchy.
don't
We are
take-
wondering
Patriarchy, the
The
fucking
patriarchy
patriarchy,
is
XY penises just swinging around.
Listen,
listen.
when we find a dress or a skirt, when
Like,
we
that
find a
is
dress or a
men-
skirt with
that is
pockets, we are
men
so excited.
alone
We are
that
walking
have
around with our
decided
hands in our
that.
pockets
Y'all
all
want to
day
hold us
long.
back. Y'all don't want us
I
to be
knew it.
great.
I
You
just,
feel me?
I
Nobody wants
knew
to
it.
deal with a purse. Are you kidding me? It takes
Listen,
Everything
to
is
live
true.
this life. I need
this is what
everything.
so look, this is a sporran, right? This is the little thing you're supposed to wear around your waist when you wear a kilt, because the kilt doesn't have pockets. And I thought to myself, why am I buying so many of these? And then it occurred to me, oh my God, that's why women wear bags, because the clothes don't have pockets. Why don't y'all just put pockets on them? Why
People
women
stop you on the
pockets?
street when you have a skirt with pockets. You
Yes.
get stopped on the street. Where did you
I'll
get
stop
it?
somebody.
Yes, everyone is so excited about pockets.
Yeah.
Wait, but Drew,
Like,
doesn't your kilt have like a garter with a knife attached to it?
it sure does. Yes, it does. That's the thing
Okay,
that.
we
and
need
here's-
that too in our skirt.
On your thighs all day.
Yeah, Damascus steel. And here's the fun part, because I'm extra black and I'm male. I made sure to look up the law on that before I even walked outside. Here's the fun part. Not only is it legal as long as you have a hunting license, which I do, like anywhere in your neighborhood at any time during hunting season is perfectly fine. So it's without a hand's reach. And I was smart enough to make friends with the local police officer day one. So like, I'm good. I don't wear it every day, and I don't take it off the property because I'm still black. Like I know I get blacker the further away I get from home. But like, back to the original point, kilts, I feel like our salvation is the way out of COVID-19. If you see somebody in pants, they're part of the problem. That's more surface area. A kilt will wrap you up. I've been out in the cold with a kilt. I was afraid. It was windy. I was worried about my situation. It was nothing. It was just, it's wool, so you're going to be warm. If you're not, you're probably the devil anyway. You need to die. So just
So you're basically saying this is a pants-demic.
I mean, it is a pandemic. Exactly. You know what? I love you so much right now. Yes, it's a pandemic.
It's a whole pandemic.
But
It's
we
a
have to have a
trouser
little
catastrophe.
democracy about it. You know what I mean? We'll about that.
I just have to say, I love. If anything, I love the opportunity I get because I work on a farm all day, so I would have never had the opportunity to wear kilts more than once, maybe twice a week, if that. And so having 32 days of going through kilts and picking different fabrics and weights of cloth and all this other kinds of stuff and tartans and talking to a whole lot of white people and learning some Gaelic. It's the weirdest pandemic ever. Like definitely the whitest pandemic ever. Like definitely the whitest. I figured I would be getting in touch with my roots. I found out that kilts have roots in Ghana. They have roots in the Petty people in the southern tribes in Africa. So kilts aren't white. They were originally black. I did not know that.
They're
So,
very
like,
black.
Yeah, it's super exciting.
Even
so like when I
deep
walked
martial
outside
arts
in the kilt, what's that? Sorry, go ahead.
even in deep martial arts circles, like in some forms of Japanese karate, you'll have like certain types of weighted skirts for movement because it helps you with your weighting better. So it's very cross-cultural. It is very not white.
Yeah, I thought that came from Scott. I just assumed it was all Scottish, and it's not. And the cool part about that is, I found a kilt kind of group on Facebook, and I thought it would just be white people, and I'd be the only black person. It's like 30% black, 30% black men in particular, who just like put on a kilt one day and had the same emotions I had. Like, oh, but why would I ever pants again? Kilts are legal? Yeah, I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna 2 legs. I don't even have to put my legs through nothing. I gotta lift up both and put it through a hole. That's coordination. I don't need to start my day with that. No, I can just wrap something up and I'm good to go. So that's my silver lining. Kilts are real and they're surprisingly inexpensive.
Good. Now, do you sit when you pee though? Because that's truly evolved.
So no, let me talk about that for like just less than 10 seconds. You go outside, it's just like a flap. There's no waiting. There's no zippers to mangle with and get all near your junk and try to cause a situation. None of that exists. It's just you move some wool out of the way and then you just move it back. That's it. It's glorious. I think it's the way we're supposed to have been dressing since the beginning, and that's why I'm feeling like connected to myself more. Because like pants feel very, I don't know, empirical. I'm not sure if that's accurate or the right word. But
it's complicated for the sake of being complicated. It makes no sense. They just they're complicated to be complicated.
And since it makes no sense, I found out what my ancient Scottish name was and got the kilt pin for it. And then I got a Rebel Star Wars pin because I can't nerd without nerding all the way. So it's terrible out there, but also kilts are flying toward my house at a rapid rate. One is en route as we speak. It'll be here in
I'm
8
sorry.
days.
Yeah, Olu just got here with his loud ass music.
The amount of passion you present is inspiring, my friend. I just got to say.
Well, thank you. I did not expect, honestly, did not expect it. Like, I thought this would be kind of cool to wear every now and then. I did not expect to love it so much. The first 4 days, I didn't even say anything about it. And then after that, it was like, I guess I'm just not wearing pants anymore. I put on pants once yesterday to saute.
The first few days for everyone who wasn't you, it was completely clear because then let's see, you happily chopped wood in your kilt, you started a fire in your kilt. You just like everything had to be, it was better because you were in your kilt. You know, standing here and smelling smoke and like coughing is so much better because I've got a kilt on.
It actually is. It is. Like chopping wood in the kilt was even better. It's my favorite. The first day I went out there. Now I'm used to the kilt by now. It's been a week. So we have a wood stove here and we have a fire pit outside. So I stay chopping wood. So I went out to chop wood in the kilt. Not a problem. I didn't think about it. Cars are stopping and beeping. People are hopping out and waving and good on you. Like I'm just chopping wood. I've chopped wood 1,000 times and nobody stopped. I guess when you're a Negro and you're in a kilt, they have questions that they're afraid to ask.
You're a black man in a dress. You're that special non-threatening, however, threatening because you're not in the inner city, so they don't quite get it.
Right, they don't know if I'm working there or if I'm living there. And you have no idea how many people ask me those kinds of questions living in the area I do, because they don't know if I'm working here or living here. So, where's the owner of the property? I mean, I don't have to ask that question. Oh, so is it you? It sounds like you're selling something. You can go. I'm looking for the owner of the property. You're looking for the exit, and I just pointed you out. Why though? Did I tell you that they called the police on somebody? They called the police on a white person in my neighborhood, and the cops showed up and escorted them away.
Oh yeah, no, you are. I have no clue how you have that black people story. Okay, so
the fuck,
honestly, and we'll talk about all the good stuff in power. I want to hear you talk about your food and what you're doing and all this good stuff. However, this Negro on his property in White Peopleville,
this was less than 2 minutes, yeah,
and got rid of the white person and defended him. It's just, yeah, makes sense.
There's a guy that showed up that's abusive to my friend. He called the police because I'm black, and he said, I'm just going to tell them there's an unknown black person. He knew how the system worked. Cops from 2 different towns show up. I go up to the cop. I already know I'm supposed to have my ID ready. I have everything ready. They don't want to know nothing from me. Nothing. They just want to know if I'm okay. Then they go to the white dude. He cries and drives away. Then they come back and ask me if I'm okay and tell me to call the cops if I have more problems with him. What?
Right?
I didn't even, when I say I didn't know how to respond, like I sat outside waiting for them to like circle the block and come back or some kind of something.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no. They were fine.
Good morning and good afternoon. Good morning.
I guess it really killed off the aggression, huh?
I don't know. I have no idea. I had an accident.
You have a good chance the way you wake up.
I had a weapon.
Hello? Hello?
Hello.
Hey, so.
What up?
Hey!
Peace. Peace, y'all. Yo, Pablo, where you get that throwback picture from, man?
Kima sent it to me.
I think I'm like 17 in that picture.
The born savior. That was crazy, man.
Yeah, man.
That was crazy. Yeah.
Sarah and Azim, congratulations.
Thank you.
He's married now. 8 days.
Azim, you need to step up your game, bruh.
Hold on, wait. One, don't put my words in my mouth. I know what I said. I know what I did. Second on, you talking about you 17 in the picture? How was Jesus when you guys was walking 2,000 years ago, huh?
Hi.
Hi.
On that note,
right?
peace.
Yo, Olu, where you going, bro?
I gotta go take care of some business.
Gotta go see a man about a horse, okay?
Mm.
Time to see a man about a horse.
Yeah,
So,
I'm actually gonna head.
Power, would you like to tell us about the Korean fried chicken with pickled cucumber and kimchi ranch, or the jerk chicken and vegetable spring rolls, or the saltfish and callaloo fritters, or any of this deliciousness that we all so well this weekend?
Let's talk about it.
Well, it's the whole. Let me just give you the idea behind Blackboard Takeout, and it's Blackboard just like the blackboard in school when you don't when something So bottom line, it's going to be changing. It's going to be evolving menu. We're going to keep some staples. The Korean fried chicken is a home run. It's a no-brainer. It makes sense. Everybody loves it. That's a staple. So there'll be at least that. The saltfish fritters will be consistently on the menu. I'm going to try out a couple things as we go along. I'm actually working on that right now. Yeah. Just came out with some homemade jerk chicken patties. Boom.
Yes, that makes so much sense. That makes so much sense. That's gonna be so good.
Boom.
Yes.
So we're gonna be doing stuff like that, changing it up every week. Something different. And things that I can manage. In my little kitchen. But
Beautiful.
I was this past Saturday was a test run, and we had a few hiccups. Just timing. Timing was a big deal. Just because I never cooked out of my kitchen in my home, besides cooking for my family,
And absolutely everyone I know wanted your food. It's like, it sounded like the parking lot at your house was a family reunion.
Yeah, the people were running into each other, so it was nice. I posted something, I think the day after. I'm not sure what day, but anyway, it was all about food. Even though we're in these crazy times right now where, they're trying to keep the social distance and whatnot, which I think is, I don't like the social distance. I think there's a lot underneath that social distance thing. But anyway, food is the one thing that's always going to bring people together, even if we got to be 6 feet apart, so my backyard this past Saturday, my parking lot was just like Kamara said, my brother Mena showed up and brother Jay showed up, and they hadn't seen each other in, who knows how long. So it was just a good thing, good feel. The support was wonderful. And I'm going to keep it going. We're just going to do one day a week, just because that's all I can manage out of this kitchen. I don't want to overload my kitchen and have my kitchen smell like a Chinese food restaurant,
That makes sense.
Just too much. I can only fry so much, in my kitchen and, maintain it, the way it needs to be maintained. So that's it. With that being said, I got to change the menu. We're going to be constantly experimenting, coming up with new stuff. I got my kids. My kids helped me out. My kids were it's so instrumental in, Saturday's, flow, the whole flow. I wouldn't be able to do it without them.
Yes, they were.
My youngest daughter, she kind of took the reins and, made sure everything was going to where it was supposed to go. She was my expediter.
Yep, no, she was on it. She was on top of the messages.
And she stepped the game up, tremendously. So that's it. Try to make this thing, family, and community come together. I think it's a win-win. So, very grateful for the support I got, from you guys. I love it, and I hope, I'm going to continue to, elevate my craft, and hope, you guys are my audience, so I want to do what's right. And I also take suggestions too, because I always want to keep something, that's vegan, vegetarian. There's always gonna be some vegan, vegetarian, gluten-free. I try to do a lot of things gluten-free, just because I don't like to consume a lot of, gluten myself. I recognize the difference of not having gluten in my system, for, a period of time where I, when I went back to eating gluten, the difference was, like night and day, so, and there's always I always have that available, and like I take suggestions, I'm open to that, because, there may be one week where I may only have 5 items, because, I'm not into I mean, I want to have something for everybody, but I realize that, you know, I won't be able to please everybody. You know, I'm not going to die trying to please everybody either. You know, I'm going to do what I know to do, what I know well, and do that consistently. And, you know, in between that, you know, I'll entertain, you know, people's, you know, ideas and thoughts, you know, but, you know, yeah, that's pretty much it. You know, we'll always have something vegan, vegetarian, and, you know, try to do a little something for everybody, you know.
Beautiful. And that there's no need to offer everything. Like, as we look at what our new normal is going to be, whatever that's going to be, one thing Americans got, like, I'm not gonna say spoiled, I'm gonna say ruined with, was this idea of having all, like, the Cheesecake Factory menu.
Ready to go.
No need for us to have anything like that. Knowing that on Saturday Powers just one meal, that's good enough. That's cool. And and I think, again, trying to not to really celebrate this time because so much horrible stuff is happening during this time, but finding the beautiful places to celebrate this time. Your kids were friggin' on it this weekend. Like, I'm figuring out how to do homeschooling, and that homeschooling thing is this weird way of getting Isaiah to work with me, like creating these family bonds that are far more natural than sending my child out to, sound like me, sending my child out to the government for the government to do what the government wants to do with my kid until my kid comes back to me and we've got this very finite period of time to do whatever. Like, yes, the girls are helping out. Yes. So we have made it to time. Okay, beautiful human beings. I will see you all. Well, hopefully I'll see a whole bunch of you guys Friday night. And Power, if you are up to doing house night again. Oh yeah, so if you don't know who our house DJ is, that is Power Divine right here, who feeds us, like, you know, that spiritual food and saltfish fritters. And I'm also supposed to tell you that Shaki wants your recipe for fritters. So your cousin wants your recipe, you can get it to her.
Ooh.
Yes.
Kamara, I
yes,
have a gift
true.
message for you.
Yes.
Kamara?
Need to get together and do all the good stuff. And to make me some more butter, because your butter is friggin' phenomenal. My cousin makes the best butter ever, period.
I just started talking about new recipes for butter. I was going to do roasted garlic one.
See? Yeah. Okay, but the end of this, we'll talk offline later. So thank you so much. Sarah, I want to talk to you more about the Manchester Co-op because I want to buy.
Yeah.
Yes, I want to get that.
I want some butter.
And yeah, Power, you don't even know. Drew's butter. No, this isn't not, and you know me well enough to say, oh yes, that's my cousin, I love him, he makes butter, and leave it at that. No, his butter is the bomba.
I spent 4 months studying the science of butter to make this butter.
Do you make butter from milk?
Let's get together, brother.
Wait. Nice.
Yeah, I make it. I don't do the whole, like, you infuse the leaf into the already made butter. No.
Okay.
I just do the super high fat content, like cream, and then you turn that into the butter. You take the butter off of that, you cool it so it's infused from the get-go. So it just tastes like butter.
Yes.
It has a crazy amount of THC. That's what makes it dangerous, especially the unicorn flavor, which tastes like there's a unicorn flavor that's
whipped white frosting. Oh my God.
Like frosting, yeah. And it's amazing. And I said to that, when I was at that party, I said to that girl, just have a tiny taste. And she took a whole teaspoonful. She said, I need to go home. I was like, listen, the butter is serious. It's like half a pat on your toast. You're good for like 4 or 5 hours.
Wow.
But delicious, but not just that, delicious. So like the sage orange. But good night, beautiful people. Hopefully I'll see you Friday night. Friday night is the open mic night. So Versatile is hosting that. And that is when we've got our Patreon folks who you support here. Drew, I want to have a spoken word piece of yours that you support, that you send out there too, because you've got your Patreon that we're supporting. So we want to share that. But the open is, again, community getting together. Come listen and be a part of it. Come share your art, be a part of it. If your art is your body, come use your body. And if you just want to come hang out and be, come hang out and be.
All right. Sounds good.
Right? Love y'all.
Thank y'all.
Peace.
Peace out, homies.
That's nice.